Hi, welcome back to Nagarjuna number 3. And we've reached now chapter 14. And this is called Chepa Takpa. Okay, Chepa Takpa. And you guys know Takpa because that's Pariksha. Okay, Pariksha means an investigation. So each of these chapters is a separate investigation. It's like, I don't know, Nagarjuna is the police or a detective, and he's investigating different people, different things in the universe. And this one is called Chepa Takpa. He's investigating, can something touch something else? Chepa. Can something make contact with something else? We've been talking about it all along, but here's a whole chapter dedicated to, can something touch something else? Okay. By the way, if it cannot touch something else, then that draws into question causation itself. You know, if you put gas in a car, but the engine can't touch the gas, then what's making the car go? Okay? And here we go with the first verse. And, you know, we know that we have to watch out for possible, this might be the other guy, but I'm going to make it easier for you and tell you the first verse here is us. The first two verses is us, okay? So here we go. Taja, tawa, tawapo. Is there any contact between my nose and the tissue paper? Taja, tawa, tawapo. Sumbo teta ni dang. Tamje kyani pensin du. Chepa gewa yomayan. So he's going to discuss a kind of a difficult kind of touching. When I look at Rebecca, okay, right now, I have Rebecca is the taja, the looky, the thing I'm looking at. Okay, tawa means they're looking, and tawapo is me, the looker. Okay, those three. Do they ever make contact? What kind of contact, Gesla? Do these two? Do these two? Or do these two? To make contact, which means ni dang. Do they make dual contact? Or Tamje Kyani Pensidu means, do the three ever touch each other? Okay, so we got some different possibilities, right? Gesla, looker. Rebecca being looked at. And then the verb of looking. Do those three ever touch each other? And do any two touch each other? Does Gesla touch the looking? Or does the looking touch Rebecca? Or does the Gesla touch Rebecca somehow? Is there any touch going on between those three? Any combination of touching, okay? Deshin ducha chapa dang, chapa jawa. And then let's take it to your negative emotions, which is a big part of Buddhist practice, right? When you want something bad enough to hurt somebody to get it, okay? Then there's the wanter, there's the wanting, and there's the thing you want. You know, do they ever touch? Or do any combination of them touch each other? So he starts out with something innocuous, like looking. And then he's going to take it to negative emotions, okay? Hating somebody or wanting something bad enough to steal it, okay? Chapa jawa. And then he says, and you, by the way, you have to read over the verse, over the lines here, or you won't get it, okay? Nyomon pa slagma. Nyomon pa slagma. Which means, and then let's talk about all the other mental afflictions, okay? We got desire covered here. Desirer, desiree, and the desiring. And then he says, and then you have to read across the lines. Nyomon pa slagma. The rest of these. Dan keche ki slagma. Then let's, by the way, keche means in Abhidharma, right? Here it means the senses. So we talked about seeing, but what about hearing? What about smelling? What about tasting? What about feeling? You know, does the feeler ever touch the scent? Does the feeler ever touch the object that they're feeling? Okay. And does your jealousy ever touch what you're jealous about? Okay. So let's talk about all those things. All right. And I have a picture here of a lady. When you want money, and then I keep saying, right, enough to hurt someone to get it. I say you cannot touch the money. when you want money bad enough that you will hurt someone else, I say you cannot touch the money. You never touch the money. Okay, so that's a you got to think about it. Okay, can you touch money if you want to give it away? Yes, maybe. Can you touch money if you want to steal it? Never. Okay. All right. We're gonna learn some Sanskrit here right away. Okay, sansarga. This is not sansara. Okay, it's sansarga. Okay, and this means touching, making contact. Okay, it has two parts: sun or sam, and sarga. By itself, sam. When in combination with s, it changes to san. The pronunciation changes to sun. Sun sarga. Okay, so sun means together. It comes from sam, some, and that changes to co, like committee or convention, coming together or meeting together, sending together, committee. Okay, so the com is easy, the com is easy. What's the sarga? It comes from surge, which is a Sanskrit root, and that means to move together or to move towards each other. Okay, and to search, we have that verb in English. Okay, sansarga. In Indo-European, which is also a kind of an ancient Sanskrit, the S drops out and this surge becomes reg. And it means to regulate or to reign over something or the right way. So it means straight, to move straight. By itself, surge means to move towards. Sun means the two things move together and they touch, okay? So that's sun, sarga. Okay, sansarga. Is it possible that things ever surge towards each other? Okay, sansarga. Yes or no? Here we go. All right, next verse. Shenda shendu che gyurna kangshir ta ja la sok la shende yapa mayimba. Now here's our comment on touching. Shendan shendu tegyurna. If two things which are different from each other can touch each other, kangchir taja la sola shende yopa mayimba. I'm asking you, can your eye touch your seeing? Can the seer make contact with the seeing? If not, the seer cannot see. Okay? If the seer cannot touch the seeing, if the seer never makes contact with the seeing, then they must be smelling, for example. Okay? So, do they ever make contact? Yes. Does seer, the eye, ever touch the seeing? They have to. Does the seeing ever touch Rebecca? It has to, okay? Check your note. But if they touch, shende yomian, then they have to be separate. And if they're separate, they don't exist. Or there's no such thing as other. That Geshe-la cannot be different from Rebecca if Geshe-la can see Rebecca. Okay? They cannot be different. Therefore, there is no sansarga. What does that mean? Things never touch each other. Things never contact each other. When I open my eyes, it's not the opening my eyes that makes me see Rebecca. Okay? Something else is happening. What's happening? Seeds are opening in Geshe-la's mind, and Geshe-la sees Rebecca. In the mind-only school, she's never outside of my mind. I'm just watching pictures in my own mind. Okay? But in the higher schools, she is out there. She is a separate person. But the reason I see her as separate from me is that seeds are opening in my mind for me to see her as separate from me. And it's not that my eye is seeing her. Okay? It's not that my eye is making contact. Okay? The theme of my next picture is things that don't exist cannot touch each other. A self-existent eye could not touch self-existent seeing. to reach a self-existent Rebecca. It's not that you can't have contact. Okay, you can't have a war between these two rabbits with horns. And this is the classic Buddhist example of something that's impossible. They call it jackalope in the West, jackrabbit antelope or something. Yeah, so try to imagine two things that don't exist touching each other, and you got the right picture. Okay. All right, next verse. Taja laso bashikla sheni mepa maseki. Let's start with that because it's already difficult. Taja laso. Now we had three elements in the act of Geshe-la seeing Rebecca. There was the see, it's a Rebecca. There's the seer, which is Geshe-la. And then there's the seeing between them. Okay. Now let's take them individually. He says Bashik. Okay, let's just take Rebecca without the seeing and without Geshe-la looking. Okay, la Sheni Mepa Maseki. She cannot be considered separate because she's alone. Got it? Okay, that's a little tricky. Let's forget Geshe-la, forget the looking. Let's just talk about Rebecca. Now, what kind of relationships we got there? Well, zero, because something has to be different to have a relationship. Okay, a person can't have a relationship with exactly the same person. Okay, because there's only one. So eliminate that one. The Guardian says that one's easy. Okay, take one of the three elements of seeing, seer, seeing, and seen, and just treat one of them, Bashik, seen. Can it have a relationship? No, we don't have to talk about that one. Okay, well, let's talk Kanyan Kandam Henchiktu. Let's talk about two of them sitting in the same room, Geshe-la and Rebecca. Shenba Nidu Mitedo. Well, then they couldn't be something else. Okay, they can't be something else if they're only one thing, and they can't be something else if they're not one thing. Okay, that's Nagarjuna. All right, if they're not one thing, they can't be something else, because to you something else means out there from its own side. That's all. You got to keep remembering that. Okay. For some reason, I thought it was really clever to have a cherry. That was itself, but something else at the same time. Okay, look, it's hard to find a picture like that. All right, never mind. Well, I'm not going to say what it says. All right. Okay, you're a witness. I do have some self-control. Okay. Next verse. Sheni shen la tende shen. Shen me ba yang shen min yu. Kan la tende kanyen ba. Deni dele shen mi te. This is very difficult. Let's go through line by line. Sheni shen la tende shen. Others are others relative to others. Others are others relative to others. That's okay. Others are others relative to others. Okay. And he uses the classical example of a water vase and a bolt of cloth. Okay, you could say a car and a refrigerator. Let's use that. Okay, when you say a car is different from a refrigerator, the difference is drawn by observing both together. Okay, you cannot a car can only be different from a refrigerator if you see the other thing that's there before you decide it's different. Right? You got to have two things there. Okay. Shen mei par yang, shen min yu. If there was no car, you couldn't call the refrigerator different from. There has to be something else there. Okay. Kanla dene kanyen ba. Anything that is something relative to something else. Okay. Deni dele shemite could never be other than it. Nothing which is different from something else by comparison could be called something else. Self-existent. Okay? nothing which is something else by comparison. A refrigerator is different from a car, but it cannot be called different in and of itself. Okay? Once you get into dependence, even if you're not speaking about dependence on mental seeds, you're already messing with the fact that something could be self-existent. Once you say something depends on something else, you're already almost left the realm of self-existence. Okay? The word dependent origination or occurring in reliance, once you get into comparison or one thing depending on another, it's difficult to start asserting that they are both self-existent and they exist in and of themselves. All right. No one is tall where tall and short are compared. Okay. So this is a little tricky, okay? Normally, you got that picture? Yeah, normally you would say the young girl is short by comparison to her mother or her sister. I don't know who it is, her mom, I guess. Normally you would say she's short compared to her mom, okay? Normally you would say that. And the Nagarjuna says, if the mom is tall, if you can only call a mom tall by comparison to her daughter, then she's not tall. I'll say it again. If you can only call the mom tall by comparison to her short daughter, then we can't really say the mom is tall. Got it? Really say means in and of herself, meaning self-existently. Is she tall? I don't know. Is she tall compared to her daughter? Yes, then she's not tall. If she's only tall with reference to something else, then she's not tall in herself. Got it? That's easy, right? We understood one verse. All right. Where are you going after that, Nagarjuna? Kelte sheni, shenle shen, deze sheme par shengyur, sheme par ni shengyur pa, yumen de chernam me. Okay, Kelte sheni, shen, le shen. If a car is self-existently different from a refrigerator, deze sheme par shengyur. In that case, something which is not different became different. If a car is only a car relative to a refrigerator, then a car which was different is not different. Shenmei par ni shengyur pa. Shenmei par here means that which doesn't have another. That which doesn't have another. Meaning the mom by herself. Okay, the tall mom by herself. Okay, shenmei par ni shengyur pa. Okay, if the mom were tall, shenmei par, without the girl around, yumen de chename, then she wouldn't be tall. If the mom were tall, by comparison to the daughter, she wouldn't be tall because she's not tall by herself. She's only tall by comparison. Okay, all right. All right. A coffee cup is not different from a pair of jeans. Okay? I was trying to get this lady. I was trying to find a lady somebody drinking coffee with jeans on. Okay? Is the coffee cup the jeans? No. Is the coffee cup different from the jeans?
Only if the jeans are there.
Yeah, only if the jeans are there. Which means it's not different by itself. Okay. It's not really different because it's only different by comparison. Is coffee different from jeans?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because when you look at the coffee cup, you see it doesn't look like the jeans, right? Then that difference is dependent on something else, and it's not part of the coffee cup. Okay. All right. Somewhere it applies to racism in there, I think. Okay. Next verse. Sheni shenla yomayin. Shen mayin baang yomayin. Sheni yoba mayina. Shena deni yomayin. Shen Yi Shen La Yomayin. Being something other is not part of anything which is other. Being other is not part of being other. Being other is not part of something other. Okay? Shen Ma Yin Bao Yon Ma Yin. Neither is that other not an other. Okay? Shen Yi Yepa Ma Yin Na. If there is no other, which is general otherness, okay? Otherness as a concept. Okay, Shen Yi is being treated as otherness, okay? Otherness, okay? If there's no such thing as otherness, then there's no other and other in the sense of being one and the same by comparison, okay? If there's no otherness by itself, then there can't be otherness by comparison. If there's no concept of otherness, then you can't have otherness by comparison, because that's what the concept of otherness applies to, is otherness by comparison. Okay? If otherness by comparison were real, it wouldn't need to be compared with something else. Okay? If something's only something by comparison with something else, then it's not really that thing. It's partly the other thing. Okay, so therefore the idea of otherness is questionable. Okay. Yeah, got a picture here. Are they other or are they the same? Huh? Are they other or are they the same? What? Huh?
He was asking, what's the picture of?
It's a duck with a goose and a chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Are they other or are they the same?
Compared to each other, they're other.
Compared to each other, they're other, but they're all fowls.
Oh.
Is this a picture of same things or is this a picture of different things? Yeah, it depends on what you compare it to. Okay. Anyway, I thought it was a cute example. All right, let's keep going here. Teini dedan chepa me. Shenda shenyang cheminja. When you talk about two things making contact, is it that one thing makes contact with itself? Can Rebecca make contact with Rebecca? No, right? Right? We're talking about Michael seeing, active seeing, Rebecca over there being seen. Can, by herself, can Rebecca make contact with Rebecca? No, cannot, because she's the same thing. They gotta be different to make contact. Shenda Shengan Temiga. Things that are a thing which is itself cannot make contact with itself, and a thing which is different can't make contact with something else either. That's the verse, okay? The first half is easy. You know, Rebecca can't contact herself, but neither can she contact Yeshua, who's different. Why? If they were different, they couldn't really make contact because there can't be a point of sharing. Because at that point of sharing, they would be the same. To be truly different means no contact ever. If we share a point of contact, then we're not truly different. We overlap somehow. Okay? It's not possible for me to touch her, to make contact. It's not possible. We think so, but that's a seed opening in our mind. Okay? But actually, the two physical things cannot touch. Not possible. And you know, in mathematics, it's possible because the point is theoretical. It's just an idea. There's no width to a point, but in reality, there'd have to be a point of contact that had width, and then that would be a certain kind of millimeters. But if you took half of that millimeter, could there still be contact like that? Okay, and you go forever. Okay, all right. All right. Next verse. Cheshin Badan Chepadang Tepa poyan yomayin. Te shimba means touching. The shimba, right? Tim ing. Touching and being in the act of touching, the touching and the toucher don't exist. That's Nagarjuna's next statement. Okay. I like Choni Lama's explanations, and I'm not gonna do Choni Lama with you because it would take 20 years. But in this case, it's kind of sweet. Okay, so let's go read Choni Lama. If things make contact in and of themselves, chatam jene chedam chokchik tela. Okay, if two things make contact, does every part of the two things make contact, or does only part of the two things make contact? First, here we go. If Geshe-la made contact with Rebecca, would it be that every part of Geshe-la makes contact with Rebecca, or just some parts of Geshe-la make contact with Rebecca? Which one? The second one, because I can't, if all the parts of me made contact with all the parts of her, I'd be inside her body and we'd be exactly the same height, like that, okay? So, it's natural to say, Geshe-la, if you ever make contact with Rebecca, like you do this elbow thing, then it's only the tip of your elbow and the tip of her elbow. Busted. If it's that every part of Geshe-la makes contact with every part of Rebecca, then they would be mixed together inseparably. Okay. Chimatana, now, if it's just part of Geshe-la that touches just part of Rebecca, Chimatana ngon yike cheba gelwe, che shimbadan, che simbadan, che papana ngon jupayang, yepamayino. Ngon yike cheba gelwe. If you're saying that it's just one part of Geshe-la that makes contact with Rebecca, then the idea of contact is destroyed. Why? Because then there'd have to be a point where we were the same. Some part of Michael would have to be part of Rebecca if there was contact. Okay. And then it wouldn't be two different people making contact. Te Shimbadan Te Simba, he clarifies the root text by saying Te Simba for the second Te. The first Te is okay, touching. And then our author adds ed to the second, touch the. Okay. And then the toucher cannot exist in and of themselves. If they did, they couldn't touch. Okay. Now, the part I like, why I'm reading you Choni Lama, is his last statement here, which is very helpful, okay? Because we need help, right? Rang lukni tanye do ma pu dam me shing dam ochu sokla tepecha yopa dukyam. Look. Okay, so Nagarjuna, what's your wrong look? What's that mean? Tim, what's wrong look? Yeah, what's your position, Nagarjuna? You've been just saying 1,000 times what's wrong. Can you tell us what your position is? Which he does not do. It's not his habit. But so Choni Lama puts words in his mouth. Okay? He says, Tanyedo. Nominally, in words only, yes, a mother can touch her child, fire can touch firewood, and you can mix milk and water together. By the way, the image of mixing milk and water together is famous in Buddhism. Do you remember why?
Taking the true out from the false.
Yeah, dividing ultimate reality from relative reality. And they say there's a tradition in ancient Asia that ducks, if you mix water and milk together in a glass and offer it to a goose or a duck, they can drink the milk and leave the water. So they say that's easier than picking emptiness out of relative reality. Okay. So anyway, can you mix water and milk? Can a fire burn a piece of wood? Can a mother touch her child? We say, is there a tepe cha? Is there a point of contact?
No.
And we say, yeah, duh. Okay. Now Nagarjuna. The. But only Tanyidu. Only nominally. Only in words. What's it mean only in words? Ming de Shaktam. Ming de Shaktam. Words doesn't mean words here. Words means mental pictures. Yeah. In pictures, the pictures can mean. That's okay. The pictures can mean. In reality, outside they never mean. Okay. Now, here he nails it down. Okay, Choni Lama, yay, Choni Lama. Chepe Tso, you want to know how they make contact? You want to know how they make contact? Dun dam chujeke rikpe chepe tse. If you really dig into it, minye. You cannot find it. Okay. If you just relax and shake Rebecca's hands, okay, that's fine. You touched her. Leave it at that. Okay. What's that called? Dakmin. Don't dig. Don't dig into it. You want to shake her hand? Shake her hand. Okay, shake hands. Make a contract. Yay. Now, but if you really dig into it, you never shook hands. Therefore, the contract doesn't hold, right? Something like that. Okay. So if you really dig into it, mata machepar. Mata machepar means if you just go through your everyday life, say your medicine Buddha mantras, somebody gets helped, that's okay. Don't dig too deep. But if you really look into it, the mantra never touches the cancer. So what's really going on? That's if you ask beyond the pictures. Okay. If you stay in the realm of the pictures, everything's okay. Makes sense. If you try to explain it without mental pictures, the mantra can't work. Okay. Cool. We finished the chapter. Yay! We finished the chapter on sansarga. What's that mean? Sansarga, not sansara.
Coming together.
Yeah, coming together and making contact. Yeah. Okay. You can make contact with other things, but it's only happening through mental images and not really outside. The picture I had for that last one, by the way, was, an intersection. And is it possible that somehow Geshe-la intersects with Rebecca? Yes, if you don't look too close. All right. See you guys in the next chapter.